For the last 25 years, U.S. leaders in both public office and private enterprise, regardless of their political persuasions, made the same naive bet on China, that robust economic engagement with the free world would lead the Chinese Communist Party to political and economic liberalization. But the CCP has not changed its stripes. From the genocide in Xinjiang to the militarization of the South China Sea to their unabashed economic coercion, the Chinese Communist Party has shown its true colors. It is time for the era of wishful thinking about the CCP to be over. Beijing took advantage of our good faith, our technology, our know-how, and our capital to grow strong and to seek to outcompete the United States. And Wall Street is helping them do it. For decades, Wall Street firms have been funneling Americans' investments and retirement money into companies blacklisted by the U.S. government. Companies that build aircraft carriers for the Chinese Navy, next-generation stealth fighter jets for their Air Force, and artillery shells for the PLA. That's why, last July, we opened an investigation into the world's foremost index provider, MSCI, and the world's largest asset manager, BlackRock, and canvassed the broader U.S. financial industry to understand the full scope of the problem. What we found was shocking. In 2023, Wall Street channeled $6.5 billion to 63 Chinese companies blacklisted by the U.S. government for advancing the PRC military or supporting the CCP's human rights abuses. Here's how it works. MSCI and other index providers give blacklisted Chinese companies a stamp of approval by adding them to an index that models a specific market. Then, asset managers like BlackRock create financial products, funds, based on an index. 401ks, IRAs, 529 college funds, and pension plans. In other words, Americans' life savings are invested into these funds, causing unwitting Americans' retirement savings to capitalize blacklisted Chinese companies. In 2023, MSCI indexes channeled $3.7 billion to those entities, and BlackRock invested at least $1.9 billion in these same companies. Wall Street's bet on blacklisted Chinese companies funds the CCP's military modernization and whitewashes CCP human rights abuses that these companies facilitate. And the Americans whose savings fuel these companies often have no idea that investing in mainstream financial products means supporting China's military or human rights atrocities. Even though Americans might not know what these companies do, the government does. It put them on blacklists because of their activities. The Aviation Industry Corporation of China is leading the PLA's efforts in the race to field the next-generation stealth fighter jet, a race which military analysts say the United States is losing and China is winning. The China National Nuclear Corporation describes itself as a leading element of the National Strategic Nuclear Forces, and Americans' retirement dollars help fund these forces. Moreover, the Department of Homeland Security considers Xinjiang Daqo, a component manufacturer in the solar panel supply chain, as a quintessential example of a company using forced labor in Xinjiang, and Americans are invested in two of its subsidiaries. This isn't just a BlackRock and MSCI problem. It is pervasive across many of the large players on Wall Street. And when we confronted them with the facts, they simply doubled down on their current practices. Wall Street is knowingly shoveling hundreds of millions of Americans' endowments, retirement funds, and savings accounts into the coffers of our nation's foremost foreign adversary for military and surveillance capabilities at great risk to our national security. And most Americans have no idea. This has to stop, and Congress needs to act. We need an outbound investment regime for China that covers both active and portfolio investment. Specifically, Congress should cut off investment in all companies blacklisted by the U.S. government for national security and human rights concerns. Congress should also require U.S. public companies to disclose investment risks in China to their American clients and protect American investors by requiring PRC firms operating in the U.S. to comply with our laws. Short of such action, billions of dollars of Americans' life savings will continue funding the PRC's military weaponry pointed at American servicemen and women, and the CCP's techno-totalitarian surveillance state facilitating human rights abuses and genocide. Americans' financial futures simply cannot remain tethered to a genocidal regime.